Steve, any but the download of the recordings is from the first meeting. And Judy and I were talking earlier. Thank you, Judy, for all those lovely pictures that you sent today. Those were really neat. And maybe you can talk more about it before we start because your trip sounds fabulous
Yeah,
to
I
Ladakh.
can give a brief summary. I went to Ladakh, which is east of Kashmir, often called Little Tibet. There's many, many Tibetans there, and it is where Chogyam Rinpoche was born and is from. I was spoke with him before I went on this trip, and it worked out that he was there, and I was able to meet up with him and have lunch with him and his family while he was in Leh at his home there. And so I went with a group called Retreat Tours, REAT, one T OURS. They do Walk with the Buddha with tricycle and other trips to Ladakh and around India and Asia, and I really like them very, very much. I'd be happy to talk with you, any of you individually about them, if you're interested. So the trip almost didn't go because of the conflict between Pakistan and India in the Kashmiri region, and all
Mhm.
flights from Delhi north were canceled, but it opened up like a week before, and so we went, and everyone came, and we visited a lot of monasteries. We were based at a monastery actually where the Dalai Lama just was in Tiksay, the Tiksay Monastery, and we went to Punja every morning. We'd walk up there for 6 o'clock for the horns, and then it was just I loved it because the monks, there were about 50 monks, and they would just wander in and all very casual, and then we'd have the uh barley brew, I forget what it's called, and
Sampa.
sampa with
Sampa.
barley. Yeah,
Sampa's roasted barley. Yeah.
and they would come around and we each have our bowls, and it was all very casual, and at the same time one of BJ, who was one of the leaders, he had actually lived in Tixay for a couple years, and his good friend Champa, though, was the monk chosen for this year to read the sutras every day, and so that's all going on. But in the meantime, it was very casual, like the family coming for breakfast and things happening over here. The reason this was focused there was because it was building the big mandala. It was their major mandala of the year. We were there when it started, and it took 4 or 5 days of three monks working like 8 or 9 hours a day. And then we went and visited other monasteries, and when we came back, it was finished, and then we were able to be there for the ceremonies and then the destruction of the mandala and the taking of all the sand down to the river and and releasing it into the river. So it was an amazing trip, and so I part of it in visiting the monasteries, I was taking pictures of the Wheel of Life at each monastery, a great teaching vehicle, the Wheel of Life, because it touches on all these aspects in a common representation that is very available for teachers and for people to learn from and is always there. So when I was trying to catch up to join you all, I was like, whoa, look at this chapter 6. It's all the Wheel of Life. So I sent you all my photos. In some of the monasteries, it was very worn out, as you can see, but the ones where I took each segment, the 12 components all the way around, that one had recently been totally restored. So most of the monasteries we were visiting were from we visited ones from four major lineages, um, and everyone had the Wheel of Life. Most of them were built initially in the 14th and 1500s. They're very, so anyway, Ladakh is a very special place. It's mountainous. Everything was 10,000 feet or above. The Indus
Uh-huh.
River was all very green. And then it was all, if you can imagine everything on above 10,000 feet here, there's no vegetation at all. So you had the green along the Indus Valley, and that's where all the barley is raised. And then you had no vegetation at all. And then above that was the Himalayas, 20,000 feet. So quite an amazing place.
Was that your first time?
My first time to Ladakh too. Yes, I've been to Nepal and India, but first time to Ladakh, and the focus of this um, trip was cultural and historical aspects. And BJ and Lauren haven't been there so many times. I mean, they're there now just, not doing a trip. They're just there for 6 weeks. And we met the head teacher, Rinpoche, for the Tikse Monastery, and the Dalai Lama stays in the Champa Hotel there. So Dalai Lama was just in Ladakh for 6 weeks, as you may know.
Wow, that's great. Well, thank you for that. If you could shoot me an email with the name of the tour group,
Sure, I'll do that.
and then if it's okay with you, then I could share perhaps
I am a
I don't
huge
know if you want
fan.
me to share your email or not with
Sure,
this
sure.
group.
You can share my email. I'm a huge
Okay.
fan of retreat tours. It's BJ and Lauren. They're a couple. They've been doing these tours for um 12, 13 years now. They live out of their suitcases. Um, they do at least maybe one or two walk with the Buddha tours, and with a spot and which spot is with a person from Tricycle Magazine. So they're very connected with that whole community. And in in our travels, we had Duchen, a nun from one of the nunneries associated with Tikse Monastery, and we learned all about all of that. I mean, and they just have, having worked in the area so long, they know so many people, and we would be shown into secret Naropa cave areas, and just amazing.
Well,
I will
thank you.
send that information to Linda and she can forward it to you all.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, I have one piece of business, and that is I'm going to send out the new schedule, which I currently have as going through either the 15th or the 22nd of December, which is when we would finish the book. And do you have a preference between the 15th and the 22nd? If we did the 15th, we'd do the December 8th and then December 15th. Or we could do December 8th and then the 22nd and have 2 weeks. Any preference there?
Probably the 15th, if people have fun.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, like kind of get it done by mid-December. And then that way we can perhaps restart with Jogo Kensei's book. I don't know why I can't remember the name of the book, but it's very well known. And I think it's going to be our next book because that was one that Choji Rinpoche had approved. And so I thought, well, we'll just dive right back into it instead of waiting the months and months for our approval to head up the food chain, unless you all have other ideas about that.
15th sounds great.
Okay. And then the other aspect of this scheduling is I cannot be here on October 20th. So consequently, I was going to go from October 6th to October 27th. So we won't have a lot of meetings in October, like at the very beginning and the very end, if that works for y'all. Okay.
What about doing it, a meeting just a week after the 6th?
I won't be here, or I will be here, but I'm going to be about to take off
Oh, okay.
because I had thought of that, and I thought if I do
So you're
that,
gonna be gone most of October.
I'll be gone for 10 days, which is only one meeting,
Okay.
but to jam two together would be challenging for me.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fine. I was just,
Unless, but I'm open, like if somebody else wants to take on.
I'm not gonna be here.
Oh, okay.
I'm leaving next week for New York, so. So I'm gonna
How,
tune in by Zoom.
how long will you be in New York?
Probably till the middle of December.
Where in New York are you gonna be?
Going to the center that where my teacher was.
Maybe we could get together. I don't know. I'm gonna be in New York.
Well, it's in Greenville.
Oh, I know.
You know where that is.
Yeah, I don't.
Pretty much in the middle of the Catskill.
Jackson, it's so good to see you.
Here you are.
Here, would you like any of the information? Let's see, here are the notes. And then this is the work prior to the interview.
Jackson's in two places at once.
He is.
Oh.
That's pretty cool. Let's see.
You're still on your phone.
Okay, so thank you for that. And you know, if you guys have anything that you see ways to improve our group, I would love to hear them in your feel free to shoot me an email. And yeah, because we want this group to be as interesting and as much of a learning experience for each of us as possible. So if you can think of anything, let me know.
Maybe this book is too much for some people.
Well, you know, we were just talking about that. Paula noted that we are all just beginners and we have different levels of comfort with that, you know, because we can't know all of this. And is this your first encounter with the Wheel of Life?
With the concept?
I don't know. Like, have you studied it before?
I don't know that I studied it. I certainly encountered it before.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you
So,
had teaching?
Huh?
Have you had teachings about this?
I'm familiar with the idea. I don't know that I specifically studied it with anyone.
Okay.
yeah, because this is only my second time through it. And I think, Jerry, it's your first time through.
Mhm.
And so, like, and not to put anybody on the spot, but I know we all have different levels of exposure to different things because we've had different teachers and just different paths. So that's part of the beauty of this, as Paula pointed out, that because we draw from so many different areas in our lives, that we'll have different impressions about the reading and conclusions. And it's wonderful to share. And I love hearing what everybody has to say about the Wheel. Okay, so the first question, not that we have to do the questions. Actually, I was going to review the outer ring, the 12 nidanas that we did 2 weeks ago. The outer ring presents the evolutionary stages of suffering through the 12 nidanas. And nidana means cause or motivation, so it's the 12 causes. The nidanas represent the inescapable chain of coincidence that brings imprisonment and pain. So now we move to the inside of the wheel and we do the inner ring and the center. So in the inner ring, we have the 6 realms. So what does the inner ring illustrate? Or what was the primary idea you came away with that? Paul?
And it's always the first sentence, you know, I mean, you know, but it's, you know, the inner ring shows how the confused mind finds different styles of occupation, which are called realms. So the interesting thing about that, it's like saying the confused mind can go, you know, through these realms. It's not like you get stuck in a realm, right? But you can experience these different realms from the time, obviously, in this one, right? But being alive, right?
Yeah.
In samsaric existence.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we actually all experience all those realms at some time or another.
Mhm.
We can relate, that's why we can relate to it.
Mhm.
Do you think we have personal favorites?
Probably, probably, you know, we all have, let's say, a closer affinity a lot of times to one of the wisdoms, or one of the poisons that's stronger in us than others, but you know, I think all through a long lifetime, and here we are, a bunch of us with a long lifetime so far, have probably experienced all of these, you know, realms at one time or another. But more importantly, they speak to the realms that we can go to after we pass from this physical form, depending on where our minds are, where we're caught in our focus in our life that we haven't been able to resolve. Through this precious human rebirth where we can resolve it,
Right.
where it can be resolved, that, you know, that's why it's so important to do practice and to really recognize where we're stuck kind of thing, or where we're obsessed or whatever, you know,
Thank you.
just to be clear when we're dying, to be as clear as possible in our minds.
I don't know if anyone else here might have attended the retreat with Mingyur Rinpoche's group, the Turgar Sangha, a couple of weeks ago. The six wisdom families, the Buddha families, which is, I think, right along with this exactly. And the to summarize what I got out of that is something that our Choje Rinpoche, our wonderful Choje Rinpoche, once brought. Anyway, I don't have, but he said to us that during any one day, the likelihood that we're all of us will visit all of the realms is very likely, because the realms represent the emotions, as well as the wisdoms and all kinds of things. So, and so during this retreat, and I won't go on and on, but the exploration was to see which of these families, or which of these realms, or which of these emotions was perhaps dominant in anyone. And some people may have worked through until there's not one dominant one. Working with the cliches, or working with the emotions, which are the energy of life, is so important, to not push away that energy, to not deny our anger or deny our grief or whatever the emotion is, lust or whatever it is, to see it, and to see it as energy, and to see it, to work with it. So it was quite a interesting retreat. There were about 1,500 people on it, and 6 different languages being
Wow.
translated.
Oh.
And yeah, and people who had been brought up as children by their parents who were Western students in the very beginning in Asia. Tim Olmsted, who managed the Abbey with Pema Chodron for many years, and a surgeon in Scotland, Anya Adair, and I won't go on, but I'm mentioning it here because it's so much it seems to me so much in the context of what we're talking about, to think of the realms as within each of us, and whether or not we're thinking of them purely as emotions or purely as these habits of some sort of whatever. And I rest my voice now. And I must say that I'm behind in reading the text and in keeping up. And so I confess that, and I planning to catch up. I've been kind of resting, and thank you. Okay.
Well, I hope you're feeling well, Janet. Thank you for that.
I'm
That's
much
really interesting to hear about Mingyur Rinpoche. Let's see. So the inner ring. I think you described that really well, Paul. Anything else we want to talk about before we
Well, one
dive
of the
into the
things-
specifics?
One of the things that Janet brought up, which I think is really relevant, is that we can find ourselves somewhere within this wheel of life at any different times during every day, or, you know, it's just, and what I think is so powerful about the wheel of life is that all the teachings are there. And the more, I mean, so, you know, I spent a month over there and we saw Wheels of Life and we talked about it every single day, and I still do not know it. I mean, it's like, if you feel as, I feel as though if this, it's sort of like when you grow up in Christianity, which I did, you have some, over time, you just sort of absorb more and more and more. And I feel like this is a summation of all these teachings, and I can find myself in any place in different perspectives. And the wheel provides a mechanism to see it all at once and to also recognize, oh, that's what I'm going through right now. And I, within the context of the whole wheel of life, I can regenerate a sense of acceptance of where I am in the whole big context of everything.
That's very cool. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Judy.
Did someone allude to the idea that the 6 wisdom energies have a relationship with these? I mean, is that?
Oh, that I'm.
Is that, I mean, I would just say, I mean, not that I want to know what they are, but just, is there some relationship between the,
I've never been given that teaching.
okay,
I've always known the 5 wisdom families actually as
as a 5 okay.
as a separate, but they each represent certain poisons and wisdoms,
Okay,
you know, like anger and all.
yeah, I guess it's
accomplishing
5
and
wisdom.
things like that, yeah. So, and I've never had the teachings where it's been associated with the.
Right.
So, but it sounds interesting that that happened with Mingyur
Uh-huh.
Rinpoche, group, yeah.
Well, and one of the things that is somewhat relevant to what y'all are saying is that struck me was, according to the Abhidharma, we can take whatever birth in whatever realm in 1/60th of a second, which I thought was really interesting. And I thought, yeah, I can just totally dive into a new realm. That made sense to me.
I think it can happen in both of them.
Yeah,
Really.
yeah.
And that's just because of habitual tendencies that we all have. Certain knee-jerk reactions to certain things, yeah. Stimuli or whatever, or long-standing conflicts, you know. Things
Yeah,
like that.
those. Okay, the 6 realms. So shall we go through and look at the wheel? Like, I was trying to figure out just on this graphic where the realms were. And I think I have an opinion, but I don't know if I'm sure. Does anybody have specific knowledge about that?
You mean the actual physical realms on this wheel?
Yeah, how they're represented.
The human realm starts in the upper, let's see,
Upper left.
upper left corner. The God realm is at the top.
Okay.
The Asuras is in on the next.
So Asuras, are those
The angry gods,
Okay,
the angry jealous gods.
okay.
Then
Hungry
on
ghost.
this wheel below here, these are the pretas, these are the hungry ghosts.
Okay,
And then at the bottom is the hell realms, and then clearly below the human realm and between the human is the animal realm, as you can see with the elephants and whatnot.
and then does the placement of the inner wheel have anything to do with the outer ring? Or is that, or do they kind of move separately, or?
The inner, the very, very inner, the pig, the rooster, and the snake. Is that
Well, like if you're in the human realm, and I can't remember what Jati and Gava were, or Bava were, but the old grandmother.
well, that's the Nidanas. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, the
outer one.
Nidanas.
Yeah.
Does it matter?
No, these.
I haven't seen a real, you know, I think the the different circles are their own story.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Great.
I
You all
don't
go
think there's a,
into-
you know, in terms of relationship to the outer 12 non-just, I don't think there's necessarily the placement of them relative to each other is not significant. I don't remember anything about that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. And then on this one, and I assume it's on all of them, you've got the 6 realms, and then you've got that inner,
You've got a ring around the,
and it looks like the stages of life or something. What is that?
I don't know, I've never seen that before
Oh,
on,
okay.
on one of these, but I know that the very, very inner realm, the pig, the rooster, and the snake,
Yeah,
which are ignorance, desire, and anger. We'll say, to make it simple.
yeah.
All of those particular poisons, which are basically the basis of all the other things in the 6 realms. These are the main.
Yeah,
let's say,
these are the
progenitors.
biggies, the
The
biggies.
yeah, yeah.
But we could have others that would.
No,
Same
these are
realms.
them.
Okay.
This is them.
Everything
Ignorance,
underneath the roof.
anger. Yeah, that passion,
Fire,
anger,
yeah.
the ignorance,
Passion.
and what's the third one? Greed,
No, it's
attachment, greed.
ignorance,
Laziness
passion, and anger.
Yeah.
and laziness. Right?
Well,
Okay.
laziness and ignorance are the same.
Oh, ignorance, yes. That's
Yeah, the ignorance is within the context of being lazy about learning about how things work.
Or having dullness of mind, which I think is a really good description of ignorance and
One thing,
laziness.
one thing that Choje Rinpoche mentioned to us when he was here that has stayed with me is to be aware of what triggers, if you want to use that word, I don't think he used it, us in any of these, like, for example, he mentioned speed and anger.
Mm.
And I think for myself, sometimes, you know, I have a husband, I have children, I have workers. And so it's like surprise also can trigger sometimes, not necessarily anger, but surprise. To I think the wheel is for all of us to think about any day, all day. I mean, it's the awareness, it's staying in awareness.
Right.
Oh, that's all. Yeah. Mhm.
Great. Thank you.
And I
Thanks,
think
Janet.
the real importance of that inner, the snake, the pig, and the what is it, snake, pig, and
Rooster.
rooster, is that they are so powerful emotions, and to put them in the center of this whole wheel of life, which represents all these sufferings and all these different ways of breaking it up into different components, but at the core is saying at the core, these emotions are so incredibly powerful in disrupting our lives.
But they
Yes.
also transform. They transform. And it's important for us to
Yeah.
know what anger transforms into. And I am not pretending to know everything about all of that and have it all memorized. But it was really quite good to visit that.
The antidote to anger is supposedly patience. And that kind of works because when you talk about speed and aggression, slowing down and patience, that kind of works, at least for me. I don't
I
know.
think the important thing, for me is when that arises, is that I'm able to recognize it and go, oh, wait a minute, hold on, hold up, whoops, and place it in context of how powerful it is and that this is really a major, and not just jump on it and release it into the world, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I love this wheel of life because everywhere, all the different interpretations And wherever you go, it's the same wheel of life, so that the teachings are consistent. They may be in different orders or different emphasis, but the wheel of life is the wheel of life, and it gives such a great summation of so much, so much. I mean, I don't, I feel like I'm like a bright-eyed student just walking through the door with this stuff.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I love that you were just there and received a lot of interaction with the wheel of life and can bring that enthusiasm to us.
Has anybody had the teachings, and because I've had these teachings, and there was some, they said you can teach it both ways. In other words, you can go one way and you can actually teach it in reverse. Now, I mean, I don't, because it was a long time ago. I don't know if anybody else has had that experience with, but I, was a teacher that said, oh yeah, you can, the 12 Madonnas, you
Yeah.
can go this way or you can go that way. Now,
Yeah, the Madonnas are considered to be, there's two different ways to look at it, is independent origination. Which I think that's what Jojo Funka is talking about, independent origination, which means it just springs into life. I think that's what it means. I have never really actually understood independent origination in all this time. Or you can think of it as, to do with the senses, to do with how we sense things. So those are two different ways to look at the Madonna. And I don't know which is, maybe one is more accessible than the other. I think it matters. But I think that this is my first time to exposure to Madonnas. I've not ever heard about these guys. So I found it fascinating.
yeah.
I really did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have no answer. But yeah, it just sounds like it's a very flexible system, like depending on where you are with your day, with your life.
But it's just to try, it's like a map.
Yeah.
Try to understand, okay, like your psychological, whatever, how your mind is arranged, what it does. And to me, that's just genius, but
Yeah, it's incredible. When did this happen, Judy? You were saying like the 11th century, or I mean,
Well, I don't know. The monasteries I was visiting were, I have the dates for, but 14th,
oh, and
12th, 14th,
yeah,
hundreds.
but I
Um,
think
it doesn't
this
matter.
wheel predates that. This
yeah,
could
yeah,
even-
they were just, yeah, I think the wheel predates all of that.
And when you compare, or not that we need to compare, but when you talk about psychology and you relate it to Freud or whatever, all of the Western
maybe not
psychology,
Freud.
maybe not Freud, yeah.
Maybe
But
you.
maybe,
Yeah, probably.
okay, we'll go with you. But
Definitely Freud. Absolutely.
just, well, even the exploration of the inner psyche did not occur until way late in Western evolution. And that this is a map that anybody can relate to who is a Buddhist is pretty astounding to me.
No, the Asian culture it really predates a Western culture by how many thousands of years.
Yeah.
And this is what has developed. I mean, not just out of the Buddhist tradition, but out of the Hindu tradition.
Yeah.
It all comes from this. For,
So
ages and ages.
so they have a wheel of life too.
I don't know if they do, but I know
Yeah.
that the teachings of Buddhism literally come from Hinduism,
Yeah.
because that's Shakyamuni Buddha was raised as a Hindu.
Yeah.
And the whole process of the ascetic practices and stuff like that was very common. And yogis and all that.
Mhm.
And it's just that he managed to get to the point of enlightenment through those practices, which at least we know, maybe other yogis have done it as well, but he's the one that sort of like started the whole thing for Buddhist studies. So, the whole point is to help ourselves, it's a way to help ourselves free ourselves from our addictions, our anger, or whatever.
Well, and maybe also to inspire us to meditate, because the more we meditate, the more we can see, oh, there's that, animal realm thing.
Well, it
Or
creates a
tendency.
distance.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I think for me, there's also an opportunity to having, I think we all go through these states every day, recognize when someone else is going through those states and being able to see where they're coming from, where they are right now. It's kind of, I think there's an opportunity there.
Absolutely.
Well, I
Definitely.
think one of the transformative things about this way of thinking is recognizing, and that's why that movie Inside Out is so powerful. It's like recognizing that that's not us. That's a response we're having, and one of the things that I find so valuable in our lineage and in the Tibetan approach, perhaps more than some other Buddhist approaches, is this attention to understanding the movement of the mind and the understanding of, and the discussion, the fact that we're having these discussions and we talk, and the Wheel of Life gives a mythology, if you will, about stories that allow you to explore different aspects of the complexity of suffering. Um, and
Yes.
and as a vehicle for teaching, about suffering and all the different components, and then at the core to have those three major destructive emotions represented. It's just such a powerful teaching. I haven't even begun to learn it all, but I'm very engaged with it. I find it very powerful.
And I think what Janet said too, I mean, everything you said, it was said so well, Judy, but the other thing that Janet mentioned was how it's also the Wheel of Life is a descriptive, but it's also an expression of the path out as well,
Right.
the path
Yeah.
towards nirvana, which is really a bit of a brain twister for me, but it makes sense too. Shall we go into the specifics of the inner ring, the 6 realms, the human realm? So we must all be in the human realm tonight because it's the land of karma. We can perceive and work with karmic force. I was struck here by suffering in this realm has the nature of dissatisfaction. And I don't know if it was in the human realm where they talk about even when things are going well and like okay, the book group, we decide, okay, we're going to come to the meeting tonight. There's for me a level of dissatisfaction with that, because what else am I missing? I want to get home and watch my movie or be with my dog. And so it's like a two-sided thing. I mean, it's definitely more worth coming and being here and being with you all, but there's that uneasy balancing always in whatever I do. And I thought I was the only one because I'm so neurotic, but then he references it here and I was very gratified by that.
So it's part of the human condition, right? We're
Yeah.
driven by desires, and they just keep on going, like they don't end. So if you chase one thing, you may get the thing, and then you chase something else. So that's our weakness.
Because of the dissatisfaction.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we always have, we always need to want something. That's our weakness.
Even if it's just wanting to stay in bed all day. Thank you, Achanta. Okay, so what else about the human realm? Anybody?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, like, the animal realm and the human realm are in the same physical plane or place, right? Um, what about the other realm? So the God realm seems like it's a separate dimension. What about the angry gods, like the asuras?
So I think your question is, this is in the phenomenal world, we experience other humans and other animals, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
And so
yeah,
we can
like
see those and
animals,
touch those.
we can see each other. Animals see us. We see animals. I'm not sure if plants are part of the animal realm too. It doesn't matter. But we are physically in the same place. But these other realms, are they with us too and we just don't see them? Or are they somewhere else outside of this
So
planet?
the way that I read this, and please jump in, correct me, is that these are states of mind. And so the human realm represents this state, that state of mind, in the animal realm as well. But the jealous God realm, for example, you can say the ambition of gaining a victory and fear of losing a battle makes you feel alive and also causes you irritation. That's very much a reality I have inhabited. See what I'm saying? I mean, it's a psychological
Yeah, I
habitation.
agree. I agree. I think these are supposed to represent um, different aspects of our own beings. And they're sort of labeled in a way to help us identify when
Mhm.
we're in that realm.
I was thinking it's both. So yes, it even as a human, every day we can go through all of these realms, like you guys were saying earlier, because the mind creates these conditions. But also, I thought these are actual beings too. So,
Yeah.
so then if they are beings, being born in that state, they take physical birth just like we did as humans. Where are they?
I'm not sure about the gods taking physical birth, but there are beings in the God realm. You know, that's how I understand it.
Yeah, and I
Because they,
thought
and they
asuras
can
are
fall from that realm directly into the hell realms. That's what I've been told in my teachings. That once you exhaust your karma in the God realm, you fall immediately into the hell realm. Which seems really
That's
very cruel to me, but I think that's like
Like
a
Icarus
cautionary
getting too
tale.
close to the sun.
It's a cautionary tale about living in the God realm, you know. So that's how I understand it. Yes, we have a physical human realm and we have a physical animal realm that we can actually see and we inhabit and we can, you know, have a tactile kind of approach to it. The other realms can be, let's say, more mythical in a sense or more mental. But from what I understand from my teachings, it's like once you pass out of this existence into wherever it is you're going because of where your mind is, then you can immediately go to the God realm, or you can go to the Azura realm, or you can go to the Hungry Ghost realm, or you can go to the Hell realm, or the animal realm. I mean, because what we're talking about here is energy. So what we all are is energy. And
I
when
think that's,
we,
sorry, I thought you were done.
well, no, I mean, just like when we leave this particular form that we've taken in the human realm, there's no guarantee that you'll come back to this realm. That's the point of the teaching and the point of why we learn about this, because you can wind up in any of these other realms depending on where your mind is and what your karmic, I don't know, what do you call it?
Karma.
Your karma, which is the direction of your energy in a sense, your karmic tendencies are, let me put it that way.
There you go.
That's from the teachings that I've had.
Yeah.
Does that help?
I
It
think
helps.
that
I'm
Linda put
wondering-
this together really well in terms of what you just said, in that these are different states that we might find ourselves in. And so the jealous God realm, for example, ambition of gaining a victory and fear of losing a battle makes you feel alive and also causes you to feel irritation and get jealous and want to be the best. Oh, you know, these are just representations of these various emotional states that we might find ourselves in. And this is what where I don't worry about whether I'm an animal or whether I'm a jealous God. It's really a methodology of teaching, as I see this, a methodology of teaching us how to understand where we might find ourselves in a moment.
Yes.
You find yourself in a boiling pot.
Yes.
It's a possibility, yeah. Of our own making.
Does that
Yeah,
help?
sometimes I think, I don't know whether it's us as Westerners or whatever, we try to make everything so realistic, but really I think of this as an oral teaching methodology.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
To encompass all this complexity of being a human being.
Or to be in samsara is
Or to
actually,
be in samsara and to
because all
understand
of these
various
realms
ways of
represent
looking
samsara.
at things. And so
Yeah.
it gives a context to for all of samsara, it gives a context to recognize different components in a verbal way that is understandable to us.
Well, it's very graphic as well.
Yeah.
There's no holds barred here.
Yeah.
Well,
That's for
and the
sure.
other thing that's great is if you are a Tibetan, I don't know what the level of education is there, but if you were, spending a lot of your days working and farming, this is something that you can really relate to.
Yeah, and you can relate to it over and over because you're where when you go to temple, when you go to teachings, here's the wheel of life, and it gives a context, and you can see it. And yeah, people are able to approach it in different ways now, but I go back to that oral tradition and the oral teaching and the visual representation. That's a big part of the teaching, is to have that visual representation to remind you.
Another concept that really kind of goes along with this, I think, is the concept of entering the diamond way. That enter Buddhism, we're entering the diamond way. And I've mentioned that once before here, I think.
Yes.
Yes, you have.
Yes, you have.
Really helps me as I work with family or I work with people in my business. Really helps me. And I think also working with ourselves, it's not simple. It's not just yes and no, front and back and easy. It's not usually. And then to be able to ask clarifying questions of oneself and others, and have others be able to do that, to promote that in a child or in anybody. To how do you clarify something? How do you have the courage? And I think that's what our teachers do, is they want us to ask questions and question ourselves in that way. Not simple. It's not simple, but it's not supposed to be terrifying. And some of this, I think, can seem like, oh my gosh, you fall down into the hell realm, or whatever. What does that mean? And maybe, I don't know, but okay.
Well, thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
I think the other thing it does is it addresses how each of us is an individual. There is no single path. There is no single way of being. And so this can encompass it all of the variety of ways of being, which is pretty amazing.
Especially when I think we're working, well, you know, in a marriage. My marriage is 64 years old. And you know, wow. So how do you do that? How do you talk to one another and in a way that recognizes that people are different, and some people have more trouble with pride. Some people have more trouble with, I don't know, distraction or there's various aspects. And how do you get somebody to ask questions? Because that might put them in, you know, I mean, it's really something. It's really fun. And my reward as a school teacher when I was teaching children was just when the children began to interact among themselves and put together something among themselves. That was it. Okay.
Thank you, Janet. So yeah, the human realm, karmic coincidences of the human realm bring possibility of seeing the futility of struggle, because most of us don't recognize that it's futile to struggle. The human realm provides a rare opportunity of hearing and practicing the Dharma. Other realms are, this was interesting to me, are so involved with extreme situations that one cannot hear the Dharma. Changes only occur in those realms after the force of karmic hallucinations expire. Yeah, that would
Pretty
be a
well
hard
done.
way to go.
Right. Because it's interesting too that, what you just read, you know, because the thing that's interesting about when you're in some of these other realms, and I think that that's what he's alluding to, is that you have an angry mind, you have a, you know, and it's just, it's like you get, further from the state to be able to participate in the human realm, you know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
get, to hear the teachings, right? Or to hear anyone else, right? You know, yeah, that's it. I mean, that was the first time that, when we actually read it, I was like, wow, I mean,
Yeah, because that,
you know,
the
you're in
whole
that state of mind.
existence, like the jealous God realm, your whole existence, there's a constant desire to be the best,
Mhm.
but the possibility of great loss is too real. Occasional tendency to punish yourself, which was also interesting, but it just is like this constant cauldron of you know, there would not be a moment to go, oh yeah, let's meditate, let's gain some distance here in how we're experiencing this reality.
I have something to say about all this.
Yes.
That's related to the different realms that we don't think of as physical realms, but there are enlightened beings who visit these realms in order to help the various
Oh.
beings. I've heard stories about, especially people, enlightened folks who have gone to the hell realms to help free beings from that realm. And there's a really interesting story about the a being in the hell realm who almost miraculously learned how to release another. He felt pity or sorrow for another being in the hell realm, and he was immediately released from the hell realm because he was able to.
Oh, interesting. So
I'm trying to say that there's ways and means inside of these realms where one of the reasons for achieving enlightenment ourselves, or because we're in the human realm and we have that possibility, is that because we can help other beings in the other realms that cannot release themselves.
when you talk about that, I think of a horrible prison situation, you know, and people who go into the prisons
Mhm.
and minister to people there, really.
Yes, they do. And it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Very
There-
similar.
There's I think she's from Australia, a nun who does that. And I just came across something, a quote from her about the concept of emptiness. And I thought it was useful to share. Emptiness, a concept of that is our thoughts are like bubbles. Our thoughts are like bubbles. She and a group of her people, I think they're nuns, but maybe also others, are down in Mexico right now, working with the issue of women being killed and hurt down there. And so when you're working into prisons, going into prisons and working with people in prisons like she does, my goodness, to teach them that their thoughts are like bubbles. What about ours, you know, in terms of this definitely overlaps with like in the at that retreat I went to, Tim Olmsted that I mentioned is also a psychotherapist. And definitely there's overlapping here. That's all.
Thank you, Jenna. Um, so we can inhabit these realms, but there are beings, because I know in the teachings I get that sense too, going back to what Ajanta's question, that, you know, there are beings, like if you're doing a specific practice and you call the beings to come and bless you, and so it's emptiness, but it's fullness too, full of
Well, it's just-
something.
Yeah, I mean, if you are able to achieve perfect emptiness or perfect realization, then this all looks like a play. You know, what's in the physical realm doesn't really appear to be real. Because it isn't real, actually. It's realizing the real true nature of what we see. You know.
Whose movie am I in? Whose movie am I in?
Right. Well, most of us are in our own movie.
Yes.
That we're constantly creating.
Point, isn't it? We're in everyone's movie that's around us, one way or another.
It's true.
Mm.
Well, we're blessed that our teachers can come and help us find our own way through the maze of our movie. You know, it's kind of how I look at it. We're very blessed with that.
So it's interesting when psychology was brought up, I think by Linda. Um, so if you look at bipolar disorder or something simpler like schizophrenia, we all get it. Oh, okay. Uh, Schizophrenia, like whatever they're experiencing is real to them, but it's not actually real. But like whatever we're experiencing right now, like you guys are in this room, I see that you guys, I'm here staring at my laptop. This isn't any more real than what we label as a schizophrenic person experiences, right? It's just whatever our mind sees. So ultimately, I mean, uh, it is a bit frustrating. There has to be a way out, and we kind of, yeah, we're fortunate we have the teachings. We're told of the way out, but then like this whole wheel of life, all the realms are fake. There's no truth in there. So if you're just stuck going round and round, uh, why does it matter what realm you go into? I guess it makes your journey longer or shorter depending on your state of mind. So the state of mind dictates what you're going to go into next, or how fast. But
Mhm.
I guess what I'm trying to say is that why do anything relevant to the realm you're in except meditate? It's impractical. I can't just like meditate 24/7. But
Actually, you can. If you really want to, you can.
You cultivate the state
maybe.
of mind that you can then take throughout your day, ideally. Does that make sense?
While
That's your,
taking other actions.
but you can, wherever you are in your day, and I've had glimpses of this maybe, wherever you are in your day, I believe you can take those moments of your clear mind on that cushion, and you can bring that into whatever you're doing in the day. And the goal is to do that all the time, right? Am I,
Well, if you can.
if you can, and it's hard, and I'm like, you know,
It's a goal to try to work.
Well, I can
I'm
do
just
it
saying
while
that it is
I'm
hard.
meditating. But I guess that's that. I guess I haven't experienced what you're saying really, because when I'm meditating, I get those glimpses. Like I can actually visually see this is fake, if that makes any sense. Like so, if I'm just not really looking out the window, like I face a window these days, so I can kind of see people walking their dogs and the grass is green and it's a pretty view, but I'm not really looking at it. So the grass becomes other things eventually because I'm not really staring at the field. So, but then it disintegrates. The physical world, like it happened so many times that I'm not like bothered by it. No, this now I'm kind of getting a glimpse into actual reality. Like this world is fake. Our vision, what it shows us, it's all fake, and it just kind of gets. It starts moving, shifting, like it's not a field anymore, and I can kind of see the matrix disappearing, if that makes any sense. And in day-to-day life that doesn't happen. It only happens when I meditate. So yeah, I'm not sure how to take it. I can maintain
So,
peaceful state if I try. That's about all I can do outside of meditation or outside of
yeah,
sitting.
and I guess I'm talking more about
I think that's good.
yeah, it is good.
That's accomplishment.
Yeah, to be able to, yeah, because I haven't done that.
Haven't done what?
Been able to be patient, yeah.
You know, had that like disillusion of what I'm seeing. I think my focus changes, you know, and the focus can get more expansive, but I wouldn't describe it in that same way that Ajanta just did, which sounds like, you know, being in a part of the matrix, right?
Yeah,
That she's, yeah,
exactly. Like I'm in this
yeah,
matrix every day. I know it. Like
yeah, yeah, and I can see that. Um, but there's that for me that instead of being in the small mind, I feel like I'm in a larger mind, if that makes any sense. And so if I can bring that larger, you know, like where that me is not important, then that works better in dealing with the craziness around me.
Oh, you mean like feeling the oneness of all of us, like the bigger consciousness.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know. I just, that me, where I get so involved and so like, like drilled into, what's happening in my life and my, the egocentric stuff. I think the release of a bunch of that is really helpful for me in my everyday life. And I can't always do it, but sometimes I can do it.
It's good.
Okay.
Fun.
Thank you.
So that, and I just say it now because that's right, but just to offer a different experience, because I think it's hard for us to talk about these things where we're using dualistic terms to explain that experience, which is non-dual.
Mhm.
Yeah, and this
And I
may,
think you guys said this before too, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I processed it and it helped back then too. I think it's a matter of repetition. So thank you.
Okay.
Maybe eventually it'll stick to me and I'll see it and I'll guess.
Well, we're all in different places and with different ways of describing where we're at. So I appreciate everyone here attempting to do that because it's really not ultimately doable. We're describing the ineffable. And Paul, you had something.
well, relating to what Ajanta and her experience, because I brought up a similar thing. I was in this retreat, and in the thing that I brought up, I said, if you can keep your eyes, and they do this with scientifically, like from not moving, right? In other words, if you can, because the thing that happens is you can make things disappear, basically. I mean, the way that, I mean, they do it, like the reason why we even can see phenomenon is because our eyes, I mean, it's moving so fast. Yeah, and it's moving so fast. But I brought up the point, I said, what about this idea of making things disappear in this experience of which they've done these studies where these people can just focus and like their eyes, however they do it, I'm not able to do it, right? But they're not moving.
Well,
And
they're-
things disappear
Yeah.
within, I mean, basically things just disappear, right?
It's
And
because they're completely relaxed. They completely, all of the nervous reaction in your body is completely, calm.
yeah, now, but the thing that he brought up, he's like, no, that's not the experience, he said that's a physiological or, phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's not a
It's not
it's not a spiritual experience or something. I mean, that was his take. When I
Right.
said that, because we were doing these practices similar to what John, where we were looking out a window and everyone was faced out a window. And I was trying to do this, this practice because just where you keep your eye, I can't do it, but there are people that can make things disappear. I mean, seemingly.
Mhm.
Because their eyes, and then they do, they just see the movement and it's moving like, incredibly fast to be able to even have this phenomenal world bring into your mind. Anyway, it was just an interesting thing because I was thinking, well, what if, I could make things in my meditation, right? The so-called emptiness. And again, he's a high teacher saying that's not, really the point of this emptiness, to have this experience that's a physiological, where you make sure your eyes don't move and then things disappear.
Yeah, because that sounds phenomenal.
Well,
Yeah.
it's part of the process of getting to the point of shutting everything down in terms of your how your mind is constantly spinning around, and that's like a physiological,
Right.
let's say, artifact.
Mhm, mhm.
And then, but yeah, and it sounds like what you were doing was sky eating practice. There's actually meditation.
Eating.
There's a meditation practice called sky eating practice, which my teacher taught us in town, and I practiced when I was in the middle of nowhere in Utah, sitting on a well, and went out on my time off. I went out and did this. It was the perfect place to do it because there was nobody in it. There was no cars, no nothing. And it's literally to become part of the sky, literally.
Huh.
And I'm not that I achieved it, but I practiced it a little bit.
Hmm.
And it's pretty amazing. It really is. But it's just all part of trying to get you away from your normal, spinning wheel self.
Mhm.
We all have.
Get out of the monkey mind.
Yeah.
Well, that was really interesting. Digression there. Not digression.
No,
Yeah,
it's part of it.
it's very relevant. Let's see. Jealous God realm, we've kind of done that. Where are we on time? We're at 8 o'clock. Okay, the God realm, also known as heaven, and we can always go back, if we
Mhm.
didn't get enough of this. A product of self-indulgence and an ideal pleasure. I think of billionaires. Isn't that what they do? I don't know.
No, I mean, that's,
Yes.
that is, I mean,
Yeah.
I know people that have a lot of money and don't have to worry about, where their next meal's coming from or where they have a roof over their heads. Can get into this
Ah,
realm pretty quickly.
Mhm.
Or maybe already in that realm and somehow through their karmic fortune, this is what they're able to achieve. It's not the best place to be.
because you're always looking.
But
for
it's
more
very
pleasure.
seductive. It's a very seductive kind of,
Yeah.
thing to do.
'Cause it seems like pleasure is the point of life in that way.
Well, satisfying whatever your whims are.
Yeah.
Mhm. But I think this point that you have on here, the meditative absorption saturates the body, undermining the basic energy. So that's talking about, literally creating an innervation of purpose, Mm,
I wouldn't associate the God realm as it was described in here with billionaires.
yeah.
Were you talking about the,
Or maybe
One
the
of these other
Azuras.
the Azuras? That's the Azuras.
Well, that depends on which billionaire you're talking about.
Well, I guess it fits with
I
them.
think
Azuras.
Elon Musk might fit in his.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
I
yeah,
agree.
I thought that was interesting too, because again, like Jackson was saying, I didn't associate it with the God realm.
I think she meant the angry God realm, the
Yeah.
jealous God realm.
Oh, are we in the trust? This says the God realm. Did I mess up?
No, we were looking at the God realm, but he's bringing in the angry God realm because really and truly, those two are kind of associated with each other.
Oh,
right?
yeah, because you're striving to avoid
Yeah.
pain.
I mean, the way the God realm is described is just an incomplete enlightenment. You're not, what, I mean, it's probably more flawed than that, but it's you have to constantly try and maintain a meditative state, and you didn't get the complete enlightenment.
Oh, that's what that's talking about there. with
That's
complete
the way it-
absorption.
That's the way it seems
Well,
described to me.
that's what it's described as.
Yeah, I see.
That might be a reference to say,
I mean, I don't know why it has. I mean, like I said, they were talking about meditative intoxication, so it's clearly, it seems to be a realm that's connected to a meditative state, except it's also self-indulgent.
well, I mean, meditative absorption can be anything.
I guess it can.
Really.
Yeah, like. When you,
Absorption at looking at something beautiful, or absorption at looking at the sky, or absorption at,
But I think
Companion.
in the teachers that I've taught in this in particular context, meditative absorption is a place that you can get stuck in, right? In other words, people can get,
Yes.
and you know, and yeah, they get stuck. I mean, there's no other word. I mean, you know, in an absorption state that's so blissful.
Mhm.
They don't want to get out and they can't get out. And that, I mean, that's when I've seen the teachings like that.
Yeah.
It's like you get stuck in this blissful state.
Right.
Um,
Well, and then when you're in that state, it is total like self-absorption.
exactly.
Because there's no concept of relating to others.
Exactly.
And enlightenment in general, to me, I mean, you're achieving enlightenment to help others, you know, to help others achieve enlightenment or to help all sentient beings achieve enlightenment. So this is sort of the antithesis of that.
There's people on internet forums who aren't interested in anything more except cultivating a particular state.
Sure. Yeah. And it's all self-indulgent.
Yeah.
Of course.
When I ask Rinpoche, Soksei Rinpoche, what is enlightenment? He said, it is the perfect union of wisdom and compassion.
Mhm.
When I ask Tulku Sangnak Rinpoche, what is enlightenment? He said, it is the perfect union of wisdom and compassion. Sometimes any moment requires more wisdom. Sometimes it requires more compassion.
Oh,
The Avalokiteshvara is all the many arms of compassion, of presence, of presence. Manjusri with the sword cutting through is compassion, the fierceness and the cutting through concept. So when we think of our moment by moment, bringing the awareness from our meditation in the morning, if we can do it in the morning, bringing it into every moment of our day, whether or not we're in a retreat and we're just going back into practice, or whether we're in a very busy surrounding, and how we work with that to balance the movement in a way that we're as present and as dynamic at the same time as we can be, I believe is the practice. And these realms that in this wheel represent states of being. And of course, there's more to it than just that, of course, in history and in everything. But that's what I share from my contact with such wonderful teachers, Soksei Rinpoche, Choje Rinpoche, and our wonderful Tukul Sangnak Rinpoche. Okay.
thank you for asking those questions and getting the answers and remembering them and bringing them to us.
It's the pulsation of life. Our life
Yeah.
pulsates. Our being pulsates. Yeah.
That's always a reminder in the shrine room, right? In our shrine room,
Yes.
right? On one side, Manjushri, the other side in Avalokiteshvara, right? Bringing wisdom and compassion.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because sometimes I'm there and I'm like, wow, you know, it's
So
right in
are
front.
those the Tongas or
No, the
the
statues. Yeah.
Like
So on
yours.
the left side is Manjushri, right? He's got the
Oh, I
the
thought that
sword.
was Padmasambhava.
No, well, and then on the other side is because I mean he has the sword cut through, you know, the wisdom
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
and then Avalokiteshvara on the other side, you know, and then in the middle, Buddha. Oops.
Cool.
But yeah, that because
Yeah.
whenever I'm in the shrine room, I'm wow, that's
I'm glad
you know,
told
that's
me
these
that.
reminders, right? To say wisdom and compassion, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of sometimes a wake up call in there, you know?
Yeah,
Okay, this is what I'm probably, you know,
this is why we're
this
here.
is why we're here. Practicing.
Okay, so, um, and here it doesn't say you go from the God realm to the hell realm, or that you could, but I
He
bet
doesn't
you
talk
could.
about that.
But
but
he
yeah.
says, and when the karmic situation of being in heaven wears out, the bliss collapses, including the self-conscious concepts of love and security, of being in love. So it was interesting because he went from sort of psychological state to meditative absorption to being in love. But you get in love with ideas. It's not necessarily a person,
Mhm.
or you get in love with different aspects of yourself.
Or love of yourself,
Yeah,
self-love.
yeah.
Mhm.
And another hallucination takes over and you're in another realm. And then the animal realm is discussed next. The stupidity of this realm is one more of laziness than of dullness. So we have the option of behaving intelligently, but we might not. Is that what that means?
I would caution not to be too literal.
Oh, yeah.
about
Yeah,
this.
this seems very general.
Yeah.
And it's a refusal to venture onto new ground. I mean, I see that every day.
Most animals are, in the world, folks that are in the animal realm have a certain routine, like my cat certainly does. As an example, but I mean, certainly wild animals, they have a certain time of day that they eat, a certain time of day that they drink water, um, that they reproduce, certain time of year. I mean, it's all very, orderly, set, whatever. There's a pattern to it.
A pattern, and there's
Yeah.
pattern and karma
Right.
marked by stubbornness and intoxication with yourself. I mean, we all know people like that, and we couldn't possibly be those people ourselves, I'm sure.
No, I think we know a lot of people like this.
Yeah. Hungry ghost realm. Oh, an intense state of grasping amid unrelenting, overwhelming psychological poverty.
Mm.
Hunger refers to the fear of letting go.
Mm.
And then they talked about the three veils, which I'd never heard of.
Oh,
before.
that the three veils just fascinated me.
Yeah.
It's very psychological kind of look at the whole thing.
External veil, a circuit of accumulation, which makes you hungrier. The more you have, the more you want.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. This is what hoarders do.
Oh,
This is hoarding.
orders. Okay.
I've had personal experience with that.
Oh, the internal veil. You accumulate what you want, but the effect is opposite of your expectation. Satisfaction becomes dissatisfaction. I saved all this money for all these years, and what did that bring me? Dissatisfaction. In a lot of cases, that was just an example. Individualistic veil, trying all possible ways of satisfying your hangups, but unexpectedly ending up in a tension between wanting and not wanting. So the state of conflicting emotions. Yeah.
Which for me describes hell actually. More than whenever it goes from, but it's a very interesting take, kind of a subset of the Hungry Ghost film from what I've been taught. So I find that really interesting.
It is really interesting. Yeah. In this realm, it is the wanting itself that causes the excruciating pain. So that the unrelenting desire.
Hell.
The realm of hell is not only the extreme of aggression and its passionate expression, but it extends beyond that. It backlashes and creates not only a force of energy, but an all pervasive environment of aggression that is so intense it is unbearable. Even the wildness of the anger finds the environment unbearable. So there's really no place for the spirit to alight or the mind to alight. It's just constant pain and aggression.
Mhm.
There's a desire to escape, but trying to do so intensifies the imprisonment. So these images to describe the realm: intense heat, which creates helplessness. Turning off the heat that you are creating becomes too claustrophobic, which I didn't really understand that. Becomes claustrophobic. I was like, oh, there's Chugum Chumpa's mind again. It's beyond me here on that one.
Well, maybe he understands us from personal experience. And maybe we all do.
Yeah.
We've probably all had some experience with the hell realm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. How to-
Intense cold, trying to solve the problem becomes irritatingly painful. So you try to internally freeze your intense aggression. So I'm not mad. I can just
And then it
feel
makes,
that. Yeah,
it makes a person even more probably, what
Yeah.
I'm saying? 'Cause they're trying to
Oh, it
hold
just-
that, they're like, I'm not mad, and then they're getting more and more angry, right?
yeah. I think
I
so.
Yeah.
The Dharma really is inviting us to get to know ourselves, to really put our arms around ourselves in order to be able to put our arms around others. And
Oh,
that includes all of ourselves. Things that maybe as children we were told you're not supposed to get talk back, or you're not supposed to get angry, or as adolescents we weren't supposed to feel lust, we weren't supposed to want to have sex with somebody. All of those things are things that people in therapy or whatever learn to accept, to get to know themselves, to get to
Yeah.
know themselves. And your feelings are definitely the energy of life. And so enough for me. Okay.
Oh, I like that. Your
really
feelings are
great.
the energy of
Yeah.
life.
And hug yourself,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
so that you can then, be present for someone, to listen, to ask questions of this person that's giving you all kinds of whether it's your partner in life or whatever, to be present, to talk it through, to listen to them, and to be present. Yeah.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
And this was one that was personally interesting to me. There's a tendency to commit suicide in this realm for the relief of change of scene, that each moment of change and each repetitive birth seems to take millions of years in this realm of hallucinations.
This is actually why, in the teachings, one of the biggest, let's see, downfalls of your practice is, besides homicide, is committing suicide. It's actually the greatest thing,
Wow.
because it's like the ultimate act of ego. To say, I am in so much pain, I have to kill myself in order to not feel pain. And, since being in samsara is to be in pain, most of us have to deal with it,
Yeah. I have had, people close to me commit suicide, and a friend's son a few days ago committed suicide. And you just, yeah, it just is, there's no hope in that. There's no,
It radiates out like rains in a pond. When a person in a family commits suicide, it creates a thing, a sea within the energy of the family or the community. So it's really not a good thing to do.
yeah,
Any other option but
yeah,
that,
yeah.
One of the
Ah.
things that really helps, I think, is to not grasp when you're with another person, even someone who's going through that kind of grief. If you're just able to let go of anything other than your presence and your awareness, and let go of what you want to achieve in that time with that person. You know, of course, you want to achieve giving them some relief from their grief or whatever. You're hoping for that. So the letting go of grasping is really important, I think.
Well, and that illustrates how important, really. There's no pulsation to the pain. It is constant. And when someone is in that state of mind, it's a tunnel vision. It's not like they have a panoply of decisions available to them in their reality. They only have that one option. It's either constant pain or it's erasing myself, which is, yeah, but I think, bearing witness is very helpful in those situations. Maybe, I don't know. Ah, just so sad. Ajanta.
Yeah, so I was watching a video today. I didn't finish it, but it's by one of the monks from the monastery that Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche built in Scotland. You guys
Oh,
probably know
yeah.
the name of it. He built it in the late 80s, maybe. So he talked about this today. When you have immense pain, most people are trying to escape it, right? It's too much to bear, and you just want to get away from it. Like you're either you hate yourself for something, or like you just don't want to accept it, or it's too much to bear, so you're just trying to push it away in any way you can, but it cannot be done. We all know that. You can't just discard it. There's no magic like that. So he shared his experience when he went through it. He became a monk for a year. He went to that monastery because he was physically very ill. And then after 1 year, he spent several more years in that monastery. He didn't leave. He decided to stay. And then he did a 4-year retreat. So the first 2 years of that 4-year retreat, that's what he was just describing. All his trauma, he thought he dealt with all that stuff through meditation and the practice, but apparently he didn't. It all came flooding back, and he kept having panic attacks. And so at one point, this is 2 years in, and he still hasn't figured out how to get rid of it, because he was trying to get rid of it the whole time. He was just trying to meditate. But then he couldn't bear it. He tried to run away. He did run away. He jumped over the wall. He ran from the monastery in the rain. He just kept running and running. And then he stopped, and he realized, like, okay, well, what am I doing? Why am I running away? Then he went back, and he wanted to be let back in. And they said, no, you can't. You left the retreat. You went away. But then the point is, like, ultimately he begged them, and they did let him in again. He started the retreat again. He figured out that he needed to meditate on the pain, if that makes any sense. So instead of pushing it away or denying it or trying to escape it, this is a part of you. Like this is maybe a negative side of you, but don't escape it. Like, don't just acknowledge it, show love for it, like, so feel the pain physically, if that helps, where you're feeling it, and then just focus on it, meditate on it, be tender, be loving. So now you're shifting your focus now you're I can't say it as well as he did, but if that makes any sense, it made sense to me. That actually worked. Then he was at peace, finally, like, because he focused on the pain itself and he showed love to himself. So we have to love ourselves first, and then we can extend it. We cannot just uh, like that all our negative qualities or things we're not proud of, things that brought us pain, whatever the cause may be, we have to accept that too. That's part of it. That's part of
Well, and
our,
they can be our greatest teachers. And I think that you are referring to something that Janet spoke of as well. We have to befriend all of those different parts of ourselves
yes.
and figure out what the teachings are, what the lessons are for us. And the better teachers seem to be the uglier parts.
Well, some people
Sorry.
have very, very traumatic childhoods. I was lucky I didn't have that, but I've worked with enough children and enough adults to know how terrible some people's childhoods were in terms of being hit and brutalized and all kinds of things. And so that is really a person needs to see whether they need not just the Dharma, but also a psychotherapist or, whatever it is that will help them. And also somebody in their life who is on the point of suicide or something, to really recognize that, I think, is so important, because there's some traumas that are really severe, and to get to know and yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you both for those insights. It's really helpful. Okay, so the center of the wheel: ignorance, pig; passion, rooster; aggression, snake. Any questions about those? Because I think we've kind of interwoven those into our discussion tonight. And then the deadly seriousness of samsara. I thought it was interesting that he ended with that. In the cycle of samsara, we all end up dead in every aspect of our life through the wheel. We have been taking in so much and not giving out anything. When we do not give out, which is the compassion and the focus on things other than our own ego, the input is extremely heavy. We end up with old age and death. By ignoring the reality of death, we go back and start the process all over again through the wheel of life, starting with the blind grandmother. And this was interesting. We do all this repetitively just to shield off our embarrassment of death. That was an interesting phrasing.
I know.
It's OCT, right?
Oh,
We put so much effort and energy into our lives. And each time we do so, that results in something. And when we work on that result, that produces a further result, which makes us do something else. So we are constantly going on and on. Action, or karma, is continuous. As long as we live that way, we die that way, and we are born that way. The truth of death is the truth of life. So death is not regarded as an escape from or an ending to our life, but death is the beginning of another birth. And that process takes place constantly. And this was psychological in, for the most part, but it's also realistically true. Okay, any final thoughts before we do our world peace prayer?
Well, we never discussed the words around it.
The words around, oh, that was from our discussion of last week when we talked about the outer ring. So
All
those
right.
were, So like the old grandmother, her Sanskrit term was the Baba.
Okay.
And so if you go back on those notes, you'll see that. All right, world peace prayer. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names specifically stand themselves either. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase. And may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase. And may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly rise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase. And may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. By this merit may all beings gain patience, and thus defeat the neurosis and negative actions which are the enemies from the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated. Thank you, everyone. Great discussion as always. And thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
If not before, here at the Sunny. Take care.